Folks, Roland Martin here. We're at Providence Hospital on Take Your Loved One to the Doctor Day. You're joined right now by Dr. Leroy Graham. He is with the organization Not One More Life, focused on African Americans and asthma, critical issue.
Absolutely.
Doc, always a pleasure. First of all, one of the reasons why this sort of resonates with me is because when my mom has asthma, and when she was in labor with me, she had an asthma attack.
Very common.
And so I always joke, she's always joking me, she's like, God, you're crazy. I said, yeah, I didn't get enough oxygen. I said, because you had that asthma attack when you were in labor with me. But this is a huge issue to African Americans that a lot of folks really don't talk about.
Absolutely. One of the things, just a good nugget, is African Americans make up 13% of the American population.
Right.
Census. They accounted for almost 30% of asthma deaths. Asthma is 3 to 4 times more likely in an African American to lead to emergency room visit, hospitalization, and sadly death. If you look at children, African American children have the highest prevalence of any child. They have 17% against a national average.
Now, what is it? Are you born with it? Does it develop? Is it conditions? Where does it come from?
We think that asthma probably is a condition that people are born with in a latent state. Then early on, environmental exposures, basically family trait, maybe allergies too, and it blossoms. Now, you gave the example of your mother. One of the examples that we see in a lot of women who had asthma as a child, they outgrew it, but yet in pregnancy it comes back. Similarly, we find this with a lot of older adults who start to have chronic bronchitis but don't smoke, and we find out in reality they have asthma. African Americans as a group do not look at asthma as something that can be prevented, so they get rescue medicine with albuterol instead of daily preventive medicine and control. And I think that in large part is why we see such morbidity and sadly such mortality disproportionately among African Americans.
Now, when you say mortality, I mean, I'll tell you, prominent journalist Harold Dow, CBS, 48 Hours. I knew Harold. Harold had an asthma attack, was driving, died as a result of the asthma attack, because his family said when his car was found, his body was in the car, they saw that his asthma medicine, if you will,
albuterol,
was on the floor.
Right.
A friend of mine in New York, same thing. He had a severe asthma attack, had to be rushed to the hospital. Also, another friend of mine in Chicago. All three of these were men, but again, these were adults. They had severe asthma attacks.
The thing is most people who are looking at asthma look at the rescue medicine, the albuterol. In point of fact, your friend's death is not that uncommon. We frequently find people still clutching the albuterol inhaler. It is a reliever. It is a fire extinguisher. The way you control asthma is you control the inflammation in your lungs by using a daily medication. And basically, I try and tell people that absolutely no one should die of asthma. And what we need is the kind of education and empowerment that Not One More Life does by working with communities of faith to bring people in contact with the resources in their community. And knowledge is power. Knowledge leads to controlling asthma, so asthma doesn't control you.
Are there certain things you shouldn't eat? There are certain conditions that you should watch out for if you have asthma?
It's called triggers. And you want to avoid triggers. And triggers are things like cigarette smoke, which is just horrible, particularly in children.
Right.
Certain moldy environments, dust, things like that. Simple things that you can do in your home to down-regulate these triggers. Some people might be sensitive or allergic to animals, particularly animal dander. One of the things anybody with asthma should do is basically vacuum the bedroom. At least twice a week with a vacuum that has a HEPA filter. You want to wash your sheets with a hot rinse cycle to get rid of the dust mite, a microscopic insect that lives inside of dust, and basically like that. We need to open up the home and let the air come through. Many black people who have problems live in very closed environments, very overcrowded environments, and they live disproportionately around traffic corridors, so they're exposed to a lot of pollution, particularly diesel exhaust from the trucks going through the center cities of New York, Chicago, Atlanta.
All right. Well, look, all wonderful tips, and we certainly appreciate it.
All right.
All right. Thanks a bunch. All right. Have a good one.
All right.